What's up, guys? In tonight's live stream, we're going to be talking about food plots, food plot ideas, and also talk about antler grow. I hope you guys follow along. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We stream live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Some nights we do pick specific topics that I like to share with you guys to try to help you guys because I like helping people. We're all in this together. We're all trying to make hunting areas better, and one way to do that is to share information with each other and to do trial and error. You know, we all make mistakes. We try one thing, it doesn't work. The only way we get better with things is to not do that same thing that didn't work over and over again, expecting different results. So this is one of the reasons why I like to do this live stream. So I'm going to get set up here so I can see the chat rolling in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. City Sticker, what's up, Chris? Hunting stuff with J&J, what's up, buddy? Hunting stuff with J&J is always on the live stream. I love it. Always here. Always good to talk to you guys. The past 2 weeks have been a little bit crazy. 2 nights I went without internet. We've had snow, we've had rain. I think 2 weeks ago we had like 60-50 mile an hour winds, took out the power. It was crazy. But we're back live tonight. Hopefully we get a lot of people on here. If you guys are watching now, please share this live stream with a friend that may want to learn about a little bit more about food plots and cheap ways to do them, so you can get them on here as well. My Slice of Heaven Outdoors, what's up, man? Hope all is well. Doing good, man. Thanks for being here. So one of the reasons why I chose like this topic is because food plot season is definitely coming. It's here. In some states, depending on what state you are in, people are already planting. Some people have already went through and frost seeded some clover, or depending if you're down south, they may have established some food plots. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Back 40 Hunter, what's going on, man? Thanks for being here, buddy. So within the past 2 weeks, I would say I've probably had maybe over a couple dozen emails from you guys. I have my email always in the link, or actually in the description of every video that I upload to YouTube. There's a email in there you guys can send questions to, and I always try to get back to every single one of them. What's up, Stephen? Carmen, is clover good for turkey? Absolutely. Absolutely. What's up, Danny? So a lot of the questions have came in about food plots, and one of the reasons that the questions came in is because people can't really afford, you know, a large scale food plot as far as like, you know, feeding food plots go. So feeding food plot could be, you know, a half acre, an acre, up to 20 acres. It just depends how big you want to make that. Typically, what we try to do is we try to create small kill plots. So kill plots could be, you know, as small as, I'm getting ready to do one here, which I'm going to talk about in about a couple minutes, but it's literally 25 yards by 25 yards of an area I want to turn into a kill plot. So most kill plots that people do could be 1/8 of an acre, 1/4 acre, you know, and then you start getting up to the half acre, but relatively you like to keep them kind of small, you know, about 1/4 of an acre, because with those kill plots, whether you're using a gun or a rifle, shotgun, muzzleloader, if you're hunting over them, but typically those kill plots are, for me anyway, is I want to bow hunt over them. I am a bow hunter. If guns if I had to pick, I would choose bow hunting over gun hunting any day, any time of the year. It's just something about bow hunting that I enjoy, because you have to do your best to try to get as close as possible to whatever animal that it is that you're hunting, whether it's turkey, which is coming up here shortly, or deer. So those kill plots are very beneficial, and you can make kill plots for honestly a really cheap amount of money if you do it the way that I'm going to talk about tonight. So real quick, one of the videos I posted, I think it was about a week ago, I talked about going to visit a small piece of property that I hunted, that I've actually had permission to hunt for the past, I believe, 4 years now, maybe 3 years. The second year that I hunted there, actually, I'm sorry, the first year, I was able to see a piebald whitetail buck. So that property is very small. I only have permission to hunt like 5 acres. So on that 5 acres, there's probably 2 acres that is literally like the homeowner's backyard, just an open field that I can't hunt in. And then it goes into a patch of woods, and it connects to huge woods. So there's literally no food in that area. So the owner has never really seen deer in that area. So the past 2 years, I have taken what we call antler grow and sprayed it through the property, and I've increased the activity on the property, but there's still not a lot of food for the deer to choose from. So as I was there literally a week ago, I found this small patch of that's in the woods. It's open to the sunlight. Looks like it's like 25 yards by 25 yards. Very small. It might be 20 yards by 20 yards. But it's very small. It's literally in the center of the woods that deer are crossing through. That's coming from a bedding area, crossing through this little patch, this open area, going across the other field into the other backside of the property. So when I was there, I said, man, this will be a great small little kill plot, but it's so small that I wouldn't be able to just let the deer free roam in there 24/7, because they were going to mow it down to the ground, because I know there's a lot of deer around that area. So if the deer obviously were to find that, they would just, it wouldn't even really grow, because they would it'd just be overbrowsed. So my plan, and you guys can do this as well, doesn't take much of a area to create a small kill plot. Now what you're going to have to do though with that is, I always preach getting soil samples, but on this spot I did not get a soil sample just because it's so small. I just went ahead and spread 6 bags of pelletized lime over it last week, actually over the weekend. So I'm gonna let that sit for the next month probably. We're a little bit behind on spring green up because it's been snowing, raining, cold. We haven't had warm weather, and we're just behind on spring, so nothing is really blooming right now. So we're a few weeks behind. So I'm gonna let that sit. Now once that sits there, I spent it was $3.79 a bag for 6 bags. So for very little amount of money, I was able to get in there and line this food plot, or future food plot. So with that, I'm gonna let that sit, let it soak in the ground a little bit. There's very tall weeds in there. That's kind of, it's so much duff in there that you cannot get sun down to the soil. So it's just very patchy in there. So there are patches of grass all over it, smothering the top of the soil. So in another few weeks, maybe about 3 weeks or so, I'm gonna go in there with either a weed whacker or something after I spray it with some weed killer to kill that grass and stuff that regrows. I'm gonna take a weed whacker in there, get that down to bare dirt, just burn it off, just take that weed whacker in there, get it down to bare soil, and then take a rake and just rake it up, rough the soil up a little bit, just so that way you can get good soil seed contact. And then once I do that, I'm going to sprinkle down some fertilizer and probably just sprinkle down some clover. Clover, I believe, will do very well in there. You can pretty much grow clover pretty much anywhere, but you do need that soil pH to be relatively about a 6 or so, a little bit higher. It'll grow fairly well. But the whole key in this is to make sure that I fence it off, because the deer are just going to overbrowse it, and it's not going to grow very well. So this 20 by 20 area, I'm going to rope it off, let it grow as high as it possibly can. I'm going to go in there and spray the heck out of it with antler grow, build up those nutrients in that plot as much as I possibly can through the late spring, summer, and then once hunting season comes, I'm going to pick a day that I want to hunt that area. I have a perfect tree set up for it. Take that fence off maybe like a day or two prior to me going in there to hunt, and the deer are just going to be in there. They're going to be in there, they're going to be eating it, and it's going to give me an awesome opportunity to either kill a doe off the property or even a buck. So that is just one way to do that. Food plots, a lot of you guys, not you guys watching maybe, but a lot of people question that they can't do a food plot because it costs too much money. I'm literally putting probably 40 with the fertilizer, maybe 40 bucks into this food plot, and it's going to be an awesome kill plot. So anybody can do this type of food plot on a small scale. Anybody can do it. 40 bucks, 50 bucks tops, you can have this food plot, and when hunting season rolls around, you can take this fence off and you can hunt this for a few days in a row. And then even when you're done hunting, this is something that you can do too, because the deer, it's so small, the deer are going to mow it down, but you can fence that back off when you're done hunting. So let's say you have this area, you take the fence off a couple days prior to bow hunting. Let's say you go in there a couple days later, you kill a deer, you're done hunting the area for a little bit, and then you can fence it back off. Let it settle out, come back in a few weeks later, take that fence off again, go back in and kill and hunt it again, and probably kill something again. So that's the whole idea of a kill plot. We're not trying to necessarily feed the deer with these plots. We're just trying to attract them to your hunting area close enough to you so you can set up and get an ethical bow shot. That's the whole idea behind it. It's very cheap to do. It's not rocket science. Anybody can do it. I am no expert, but all it takes is a little bit of common sense to realize that greening growing plants is the key to attracting wildlife, and also on a larger scale with feeding plots is also to benefit wildlife as well. Greening growing plants, because that is what nature has designed them to do on a daily basis. Does anybody have any questions? My Slice of Heaven Outdoors got my first soil sample from the new property ready to send off. Very rocky soil, where I hope I hope it works out for him. I'm sure it will, man. As long as you get that pH right and you get it tested, send it out, see what it is, and then you can go from there. Brad, what's up, buddy? What's up, Bill? SG Outdoors, what's up, Dave? Miss anything good? We're just talking about food plots. I'm 12-year-old boy. I hunt bow hunt. Can you make a video with some good tips for laying out a smaller property? Yeah, I have a lot of videos like that. I have a few playlists that you can actually search for. That'll show you how to help attract deer to smaller properties. Back 40 just curious, what do you do with the small trees and shrub once you clear them for a food plot? Do you pile them, or do you use them to make funnels? In PA, the areas, they're pretty large, so I will be using some of the trees to kind of help deter the deer to a certain area. But I think on this one spot, what I'm going to do is leave them piled up, and you can set a ground blind and brush it in because it's all pines and stuff. So pines will last pretty much forever, and you can brush your blind in. So that's one of the things I'm going to do with that. But you can definitely use the brush to funnel the deer to a certain area, or you can just throw it in a pile. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you really want to do with it. Hunting with Preston, what's up, buddy? Welcome to the Antler Grow team. Hunting and stuff with J&J. So are kill plots usually smaller than food plots, or is it up to the person? Well, kill plots are exactly what they are. Kill plots, micro plots, poor man food plots, whatever you want to call them. I just call them kill plots because my goal hunting over them is to kill something. So I just call them kill plots. But kill plots are pretty much always smaller than an actual feeding plot. You got kill plots, which are designed to hunt over them to give you a kill shot per se. Then you have feeding plots. Feeding plots are on a larger scale to help provide deer food on a year-round basis. So that's pretty much the difference there. If you have the land or property, you should really try to have both, kill plots and feeding plots. So my property that I'm doing now, I'm going to have a 3-acre feeding plot, but then I'm also going to have 3 small kill plots. So a lot of times people will create kill plots, but then overhunt them and push the deer off of them. So if you have the available room, you should probably do more than 1 kill plot. That way you don't overpressure it and gives you more of a opportunity to hunt more of your property in different areas. That way you're not concentrated just on one area. So another food plot that I'm going to be doing, which will be very beneficial to any of you guys, is I love hunting logging roads. Logging roads, if you can plant those with something, can be an awesome way to hunt during the rut, because during the rut those bucks like to travel kind of like those open areas, and they will literally funnel down that logging road looking for a hot doe. So I like hunting logging roads, fence lines, and stuff like that during the rut. I've had a lot of success with hunting fence lines and logging roads, just because those bucks, they really like to travel down those fire roads looking for a doe. So if we can create food where the does are going to be feeding, that's where the bucks are going to be. But Back 40 Hunter, thanks, man. I appreciate your thoughts on that. No problem. Hunting with Preston, thanks a lot. What's up, buddy? So people just get that mixed up with they can't do a food plot because it's too expensive. And you guys, this is where the next thing is for you guys. You don't have to plant a food plot. You don't have to go out and buy seed and plant something. If you guys have a mower or an old clear cut or just natural browse is the backbone to all healthy deer herds. Natural browse is always there, depending on what part of the country you're in. Whether you're in South, you have a longer growing season. But if you guys can use Antler Grow to spray that natural browse, you just created a food plot. I'm doing that on several areas down on my properties, not just in PA. I'm going to be doing it up here. And the other benefit to that is Antler Grow is legal in all states. So in PA, you can't bait. Well, where you can't bait, Antler Grow is legal because it's under an ag license. So each state has its own ag license. So therefore, it is legal. In states where, like New York, you can't bait, can't use minerals. Same thing with Pennsylvania. It is 100% legal. So you can spray grassy areas, old clear cuts, logging roads on the sides of it, any kind of green and growing natural browse. you guys can spray. So that's why it's so important to spray as much as possible if you're trying to benefit the herd, because deer are browsing animals, so they're taking a bite there, a bite here, a bite over there, a bite over there, and a bite over there as they travel through the woods. That's what they do, they browse. So that's why it's important to make sure that you plant or spray as much as possible. But you guys can buy seed. You know, I wouldn't recommend buying the buck on a bag seed. I've done that. It doesn't work out too well. You don't know kind of how old of seed that you're buying. So I would buy from a reputable company, a company that doesn't have a celebrity's face on the bag. That's one thing that I highly preach, is any kind of product that has a celebrity's face on it, a TV hunter's personality, you know, on that product, I would highly recommend not to buy it. I would recommend buying something else that doesn't have that. I won't get into it a whole lot, but trust me, just buy something else. There's plenty of stuff out there that you can buy that doesn't have a celebrity's face on it. And do your research. Use common sense when you're buying stuff. You have to think of nature, how nature was designed, and that's how you can have good success. So food plots, again, is if you guys are trying to grow deer, food plots are an essential key to that. You can't just dump something on the ground, spray something, or do this or plant that. It's no single thing that helps wildlife. It's multiple things. There's no silver bullet with anything that you do. So you can't just, you know, throw something on the ground or spray something and have monster deer every year. And you guys all have, and again, I'm no expert, but I have seen what is possible with smaller properties. I've seen what a little bit of management can do to that, to those small acres. I'm talking an acre to 2 acres to 3 acres, up to whatever you can imagine. A little bit of management goes a long way. It doesn't take much to help change your property. I'm talking more deer, more turkey, more birds, more wildlife in general. It doesn't take much, but you have to do something. You can't do nothing and expect different results every year. You have to put the time in and do what you can. You don't have to do it all at once, but the littlest thing will make the biggest difference. It's just like us as human beings. You know, it's not what we can do as far as health goes. You know, you do that one little thing and then you add things to it. So it might be incorporating, you know, eating an apple every single day as far as, you know, trying to be healthier. Then a couple months later, you're adding something else, and then something else, and then something else. And over time, you have these multiple different things, and all of a sudden, you're a super healthy person. So, but there's no one little thing that you can take that's the magic pill. You know what I mean? So it just takes hard work and year after year, you know, things and learning from those mistakes. So if you do something this year and it doesn't work, then obviously you don't want to do it the next year, because you can't expect different results from it. So a lot of the questions that I always get is food plots are too expensive. You don't have an area to do them, which if you're hunting, you know, a private piece of land, you can make a food plot. You know, permission, you know, if you have permission to do it from the landowner, but you can make a food plot. You just have to get out there. Last year I went and sprayed the heck out of a property and created 2 small kill plots in the woods. I was in there with rakes, leaf blower, weed whacker, chainsaw, and I created 2 small kill plots. I didn't kill anything over those food plots, but it attracted all kinds of wildlife, more turkeys, and the areas that I sprayed, the deer focused in on those areas, and I was able to kill a decent sized 10-pointer last year over that. So that's one of the things that people get upset about is, you know, you put all your work in and you don't have success with it. Well, that's not true, because even if you don't get to kill something over that plot, doesn't mean that you didn't have success with it. Because trust me, that if you create a kill plot, trust me, that kill plot benefited something on your property. It either attracted more deer, it attracted more turkeys, it supplied an additional food source for your property, it helped deer get through the winter. It did something. So even if you don't kill something off of it, you can't say that it wasn't a success. As long as that plot grew, trust me, it provided some sort of success to your property. You may not be able to see it, you know, because you're not holding a deer that you killed over it, but it did something, trust me. Starting traditions outdoors. Amen about not buying that kind of seed. Will, killed my biggest buck last year, November 11th, in a tiny clover plot about 15 yards wide, 14 acres total, including my house. Small kill plots still work. Absolutely, 100%. 100% small kill plots work, because it's about creating variety. So if you can create variety of different food sources on your property, you're just going to attract every single deer within that area. You're going to be pulling deer off of neighboring properties, bringing them onto your property. You're going to have more turkeys, and it's just going to be an endless cycle. But it doesn't take much. Like Will just said, he's hunting over 15-yard wide clover plot, and he killed his biggest buck ever, November 11th. So congratulations to you for doing that. And like I always said, it's about creating something. So if we can create something, then we did our job. You know, you don't necessarily have to kill something off of it. If you kill something off of it, then it's just a bonus. Will, thanks, more than expected in the first year. Yeah, man, definitely. Huge congratulations to you on that one. So, again, no matter what we do on a year-to-year basis on any property that we have, and this may not be for everybody. I understand that not everybody wants to do food plots. Not everybody wants to try to improve their property. I did a poll, a recent poll on my Facebook, on our Facebook page, Whitetail Obsession Outdoors, and I just asked a simple question. I said, do you try to benefit your property or your deer herd or turkey or whatever? Is option 1, and option 2 said, you know, you just don't care either way. And the results, I let it go for like a week. The results came in, out of like a few hundred votes, there was only one person on there that said that they don't care either way. They don't care if they help. They just like to hunt, and that's fine too. But that was one person out of several hundred people that voted on there. So it goes to show you that, like, management and food plots and kill plots and feeding plots and, you know, whatever management technique that you decide to use is becoming more and more popular because it works. And one of the main things is that people are doing, and land managers, is like prescribed fires and enhancing natural browse on their property, because we know that's what deer eat on a daily basis. Natural browse, anything green and growing. There's over like 700 and some different species of natural browse that deer consume on a daily basis. A lot of people don't know deer eat Poison ivy. Deer love to eat poison ivy. So you may have a lot of species of plants on your property that deer don't eat. They just won't eat it. It's not palatable to them. So therefore, you have to figure something else out. So if you want to hold those deer on your property, you have to do something. You can't hunt the property and then complain about it that you're not seeing anything, but you haven't done anything to help that. So a lot of people, you know, we get 1 day a week to hunt, you know, to say Saturday, or some people get a couple days during the week, or whenever it is you have free time to hunt. We have a short window, so you want to make your chances as high as possible of harvesting whatever it is that you're hunting. So you have to, you know, put in the time, even if it's public land. Get out there, scout ahead of time, you know, walk as far back in the woods as possible, get away from other hunters, or, you know, just figure out where the deer are. Do your scouting, do your homework, and you'll have better results. But you can't do the same thing over and over and over each year and expect different results. Doesn't work. David, hey Dave, have you ever used one of those ozonic systems? I picked one up at the Harrisburg show this year, and if yes, what did you think of them? Dave, I did. I actually had an ozonics machine before. I do believe that it works very well. I actually sold it just because I like, it was just another thing for me to hook up, because when I go into the woods, I got camera arms, video cameras, second angle cameras, third angle cameras, my bow, my backpack. It was like, it was just one extra thing to carry, and I just sold it. Honestly, I sold it. I do think they work though. I don't get winded very often, even without it. So I always like to play the wind. I try to stay as scent free as possible. So I just sold it, but I do think that they work. Starting traditions outdoors. So far, I planted clover, but want to plant different stuff. What else would you plant? What state are you in? Starting traditions outdoors. What state are you in? Hunting with Preston. If you can create more food than other properties and spray antler grow, you will see more deer and you will kill and see. Yeah, that's the whole key. You know, you want to provide the most palatable food source in your area, and with that, you know, it takes more than just throwing some seed out, because even if that bag of seed says, you know, 25 or 30% protein, if the nutrients aren't in that soil to give to the plants, it's never going to reach that level. But the nutrients are so depleted in the soil, it's never going to get there. And that's what Hunting with Preston just said, is spraying antler grow on these plots gives those plants the nutrients that the soil was lacking. So it's going to make it more palatable. It's going to up the protein level. It's going to up the digestible proteins. It's just all around create a better, more palatable food source. So if you can create the most palatable food source with your surrounding area, you're going to have every deer pulled off of your neighboring property, and you're going to have amazing results. So I have a little bit over 100 acres in Pennsylvania. I'm going to have a 3-acre feeding plot, and I'm waiting for the weather to warm up. If it ever stops snowing and raining, I have so much work to do there, because I want to see what I can get out of the property. I want to see what I can do, what I can put into it, and what I can get out of it. My goal this year is to provide a year-round food source, which is going to be, you know, a feeding food plot. I want to provide a year-round food source, extremely palatable food source, and I want to provide several kill plots for areas to bow hunt on this year. That's the goal this year. And obviously I'll be spraying antler growth, I'll be doing this, that, and the other, but that's the goal this year. Next year I want to put in like a watering hole, maybe create a few other food kill plots, maybe enhance some bedding areas, but the goal this year is just to get more food in there, more healthier, more palatable food, and then next year I'll go from there and see what happens. Got to go, but once again, a great video with a lot of useful information. Thanks again for all the time and work you put into this. Have a great night. Back for you, Hunter. Thanks, man. You can't half-ass it if you want to leave the land better than it was. SJ Outdoors. Yeah, you gotta put in the work to make it better. And that's what I like to do. I was never into this stuff, you know. I just like to go out there, and majority of, you know, my younger time, I was just hunting public land, and I never really had access to private land. So, but now as I've getting older, I pay attention more to the management side of things, because it's fun. Because you do something one year, you see if it works. If it doesn't work, then you do something different. It's fun just to see results. And honestly, though, over the past, I don't even know, 10 years or so, I have tried every single product there is out there, dumping stuff on the ground, some powder, you know, acorn rage or whatever that stuff is you dump on the ground. I've tried it all, and the fact is, the only thing that's really going to help your property is green and growing plants, because again, that's what they eat. I have a 2-acre, very small piece of property that I hunt. It backs up to, you know, larger woods, but through those green and growing plants, I enhanced them by spraying them, and I was able to pull a dozen deer into this small property. I've killed a few deer off of there that literally had no deer whatsoever. So greening growing plants, provide that as much as you can, and your property will, you know, be leaps and bounds from what it is now. Hunting with Preston, our property is mostly bedding. We are currently trying to produce more food, and we do have water also. Awesome. If you can have all three of those, a food source, water source, and a bedding area, that's the three keys. Just like human beings, we need water, we need food, and we need a place to sleep. So that's what deer look for. If you don't have that, they'll just go elsewhere. David, do you have camera arms that work with the SpyPoint Live action camera? Yes. I just use, they make some brackets for them that SpyPoint sells, or you can go on like Amazon and get a few other camera mounts or arms that you can use with that. But all those action cameras are pretty much universal mount, so they'll pretty much mount on anything. Starting traditions outdoors, North Carolina. So you could do brassicas, you know, rape, turnip, oats would be very, very good. It's always good to have a variety, so you could do your clover, you could do your oats, you could do your brassicas, things like that. But definitely add a little bit more than just clover, because you want to have a variety of different food sources on your property. G.A. Hunter, Georgia Hunter, just got here, worked late, went this past Saturday and sprayed the briars privet bushes on 2 properties, going back in 3 weeks to check things out. Awesome. Yeah, we were talking about that a couple days ago, I believe, or last week or something. But yeah, that's awesome. Up here, we literally have nothing. We have nothing green and growing. There's not even a bloom out there that's looking to bud. There's nothing. We had snow last week. We had 50, 60 mile an hour winds. We've had rain, snow. The weather just will not change. I think it was even like 2 weeks ago, it was like 70 degrees, and all of a sudden back down to 30, down to 20, windy again, raining. It's been the craziest spring, winter that I've seen in a very long time. I don't remember it being this cold this time of year in like forever. So hopefully in the next few weeks, hopefully in like 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks, things start to change, weather starts to warm up, we start seeing some green coming out. We'll see what happens. But another cheap way to do this on food plots is, this is a perfect example. Gotta go. Wife's making me some dinner. Awesome, man. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your dinner. Jay, hi Dave. Last week's management effort was I fertilized 13 big white oak trees at my food plot stand area. That's awesome. That's another thing you guys can do. You know, oak trees, fertilize the oak trees. You can spray them with antler grow, whatever you guys want. But anything that you can do to enhance the property will benefit you in some sort of way. Mike from Michigan. Good evening, Dave. I'm working on an area that is about 40 yards by maybe 50 yards. Planting clover seems small. Any thoughts or recommendations? I'm planting in pine oak mixed woods. Yeah, depending on how many deer you have in your area, 40 yards by 50 yards, that's a decent little size kill plot. So you could plant some clover, you could do oats. They seem to do well in, shaded areas or partially shaded areas, but oats would do very well with clover. You could do that mix, or you could do oats, clover, like a brassica mix or something like that would do fairly well. But again, just make sure your pH and all that stuff is up to where it needs to be. Georgiana, can you spray the antler grow on trees for fertilizer? Antler grow is not a fertilizer. It is not a fertilizer whatsoever. It's micronutrients. But yes, you can spray it on trees. Anything green and growing. Antler grow is your minors, all your micronutrients. Fertilizer is a completely separate category. SG Outdoors, same here, Dave. In New Jersey, trees down here from heavy snow and wind, all the ground saturated. Can't even think about turning dirt. It's swamp. Yeah, that's how it is here as well. Everything's just wet. I'm afraid to even go to Pennsylvania because every time I go up there, it's either snowing, raining, windy, cloudy. I haven't think I've ever seen a sunny day there yet. It's a swamp. There's just, like you said, I can't even think about turning dirt right now. I'm probably still a month away up there from turning dirt. It's just so wet. It's been crazy up there. Up there is that's another story with the weather. The amount of weather change from where my hunting property is in Pennsylvania to Maryland is drastically different. It's insane. Georgiana 10-4. Thanks, man. Got to eat supper. We'll be back later. Awesome. Thank you. So this last topic here, or same topic, but last story that I want to tell you guys because it's very cheap to do. So on this little 2-acre property that I have permission to hunt on, okay, I've talked about this many times, but trail camera pictures show and prove it that it's still working. So there's about an eighth, I'd say probably about a 16th. It's about a 16th of an acre field. In that field, there was nothing but grasses and weeds. The very first year that I started hunting it, there was no deer there. I know this because I've lived there for my whole life. There was no deer there. For 14 years or so, there was no deer. The deer just diminished. People killed them all off, and there really wasn't a whole lot left. So every now and then you would see one, wander through, but they weren't there. They would just pass through. No big deal. No reason for them to stop. So last year, or 2 years ago, I should say, it was just a grassy field. Nothing special. So when I met Jeff from Antler Grow, he said to spray the field. It'll attract more wildlife. Whatever. I didn't believe him. So I ended up spraying this field. We're just talking just grass. And I sprayed the natural browse around the field. The amount of deer that were attracted to this little 16th of an acre field was insane. All of a sudden, I started seeing 1 deer, 2 deer, 3 deer, 4 deer, 5 deer. At one time, I had a ground blind there. I was hunting. I saw 12 deer that were literally wherever they were coming from. Okay, they would focus. They would come into the property and boom, right to this field. So last year, I took it up a notch and I planted a food plot. I planted some clovers, some brassicas, some oats, things like that. I was able to kill another deer off of there. This was back in October. I sprayed the living heck out of it with Antler Grow. Over from, I'd say, I guess August until December, there was enough food there where the deer ate, and they literally mowed it down to the bare dirt. There was nothing left other than some grasses. The deer, those nutrients are still locked in there, in the weeds and everything. The nutrients are still locked in there. The deer are still zooming into this property, going straight to this field, eating the grasses and the weeds and whatever else is around it, the woody browse, because it is super healthy for them to eat, because I sprayed the living piss out of it, and that's where the deer are staying at. They're coming into the property. I get trail camera pictures every single night like clockwork. The deer are coming to this 16th of an acre field that literally nothing there anymore other than some grasses and weeds because they ate everything else. There's blotches everywhere of just dirt. There's little patches of green, and they're coming in here and they're digging down in there trying to get food out of there, and they're just eating the grass. So I didn't do anything else to the property other than, I haven't done anything to this place. There's no technical food plot there. It's just some grasses. I've taken that property, 2 acres that all I had permission on, where there was literally no deer, okay, and I was able to attract a dozen deer into this place, and they're still there every single evening. I get pictures like clockwork. They're coming into the property and they're staying there. And I didn't even know, but when I planted the food plot, I got a soil sample and the pH was already a 6.8, and there's been nothing done to this field ever. But the pH was already a 6.8. So I didn't, right there, saving money. I spent $10 on a soil sample, and I did not have to add lime to that property. That's why it's important to get a soil sample, because you could just be adding lime to an area that doesn't need it, and therefore you're wasting money. So you don't have to plant anything. Buy Antler Grow, spray it in an area, and your property will leap and bound with wildlife. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. Spray it, they will come. They have the saying, plant it, they will come. Well, this is spray it and they will come. I don't get paid to say this. It's just something that I've been using for 3 years. This will be the 3rd year now, and I fell in love with it. I've learned every possible thing that I can about it, and it just amazes me every single time I use it. That's a funny question there. What do you think about using antler grow to help clear a spot for a food plot? Like spray the brush and let the deer mow it down like goats. You think it would work? It would probably work. It's funny you say that, because I had I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a few days ago. He actually sent me an email and said, this was like a couple weeks ago. He sent me an email and said, hey man, thanks for your recommendation. I bought some antler grow. I'm gonna go spray it, and I got some briars and a little bit of a food plot I'm gonna spray and all this other stuff. And I said, well, you know, spray it, get back to me in a couple weeks and let me know your results. So he gets back to me the other day and sends me an email and says, hey man, I got a funny story to tell you. And he's emailing back and forth, and the area that he sprayed these briars, you know, deer love briars. So he sprayed these briars, and he went back to check them just to see if they were, you know, browsed on. And he went back to the same area, and he's like looking around and can't find the briars. Like, he doesn't know where they're at. He thought he was in the wrong location. And he's like, I know I sprayed them. Well, come to find out that the briars that he sprayed, the deer ate down to the bare dirt, and there was no briars left. So here he's thinking he's in the wrong spot, or, you know, he didn't know what to think. Well, come to find out, the deer actually just mowed them down to the dirt because he made them more palatable, and the attractability for them went sky high, and the deer ate them down to bare dirt. So it's just a funny story. Georgia G.A. Hunter, you are the reason I bought the gallon of antler grow. Awesome. Good to hear. The gallon's where the money's at. The 1 gallon does the 5 acres. It equals out to $16 an acre. There's nothing out there you can use for $16 an acre to benefit not just deer, but all wildlife. But enough with that. If you guys have any more questions, be sure to fire away in the comment section. I'll answer any questions you guys, or if you have another topic you want to talk about, fire away, because we're going to go for about another 5 minutes. I'm going to hop off here and get some other stuff done, and then go to bed and repeat the cycle all over again tomorrow. Do you do any coyote or coon trapping? I haven't. No, I haven't done any coyote hunting, but I will be planning on doing coyote hunting this year and next year on the property in Pennsylvania, because I've seen them on trail camera. So there's definitely tons of coyotes there that I have to get rid of, because I want my deer population and turkey population to rise. So one way of doing that is getting rid of coyotes and also raccoons. See you all next time. See you, man. Thanks for watching. Cool. Nobody's got any questions? There we go. Starting traditions outdoors. What's your thought on soybeans? Soybeans are awesome. They're probably one of the top choice for a spring summer food plot. And if you can plant soybeans, by all means plant them, but you got to have a large enough area to plant them. Otherwise the deer just mow them down. But another option for that would be to plant a section of soybeans, fence it off, let it grow, and then when your hunting season comes around, you know, take that fence off and you can hunt those soybeans. that's an option to do that as well. Tell them what we're going to do on the 7th. So April 7th, we're going back to Pennsylvania. We're going to be building or starting to build a rainwater collection system on the property, because there's no water there. So I need water on the property. So we're going to start building this rainwater collection system, and then if the weather is decent, we're going to be working, as I explained earlier in the video, we're going to be working on a logging road. This logging road kind of goes straight and it kind of kicks off to the right a little bit. There's some fallen down trees on it. It's just not the prettiest looking thing. So we're going to shape it up a little bit, cut down these fallen down trees, get those out of the way, clear it up a little bit, and then cut some branches out, and go in there the next few weeks, you know, when it dries out a little bit, get in there, rough it up with the Groundhog Max, rough that dirt up, run a drag through it, sprinkle some fertilizer down, sprinkle some lime down, and go ahead and plant something on that logging road, because there's the way the logging road is, there's perfect trees for a bow setup. So I think it'll be an awesome place to be able to get something during the rut, even early season, you know. But I think it'll be an awesome area, and even if I don't kill something over it, it's providing more food for the property. So like I said a little while ago, my whole plan this year is to provide more food on the property and have the healthiest food within that area, so I attract more wildlife. I want to have as much wildlife on the property as possible, because when I go hunting, I want to see deer, I want to see turkeys, I want to see all wildlife. So provide food. I'm going to take some friends there hunting. I'm going to maybe take some co-workers, friends there hunting as well. Try to get some people their first deer. We're going to be setting up the Sad Daddy hunting blind. We're going to be doing some scouting. I'm also working on getting a camper on the property, so when I can go out there, I can stay in a camper where I don't have to drive into town and stay at a hotel. Be much, you know, cheaper to get that camper and just park it right on the property and be able to stay there. I know you do a lot of small food plots. I was thinking clover. Would you add something, and which brand grows the best in your opinion? I love doing small food plots, but I also like doing large food plots. This year will be the largest food plot that I've ever done on a larger scale, you know, 3 acres. When you start getting above, you know, a half acre, I mean, that's a big food plot. So obviously, you know, people do 10-acre food plots, 20-acre food plots, but as the average level, the average person, we only have access to small amounts of area to where we can do the food plots. So clover's obviously an excellent choice. You can add some you can do some oats, some brassicas in there. As far as brand goes, you can do deer egg. Deer egg seed is the choice of seed that I'm going to be using this year. It's a very unique the way they sell it and bag it, because inside the bag, if you buy a blend, just say you buy a blend of like oats and clover. Well, oat seeds are fairly large compared to clover seeds. So if you buy that mix in a bag and you go to spread it in a hand spreader, you have to open your spreader to the largest seed available. So if you have to open it to the largest seed available in that bag, you're wasting all those smaller seeds. Does that make sense? So with that, they sell it, if you buy a bag of that mix, the oats are going to be in a separate bag, so therefore they're not mixed together and you're not just wasting seeds. So when the bag actually says quarter acre, it will actually do a quarter acre. And I'm using this seed because it's not buck on a bag seed, as we call it. It doesn't have a celebrity's face on it. So I will not use any product that has a celebrity's face on it. So that's what we call buck on a bag. All right, guys, we've been on for an hour. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, there's always an email in the description of the vehicle. You guys can send me an email, ask me questions. We stream every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.